What is up, Facebook? This is actually the first time I'm coming to you live from my office here. I've spent a lot of time lately in the office. I've been recording products. I've got a couple of products coming out. Keep an eye out for Empowered Results and Fast Coach University. But I wanted to come to you guys today because we had a phenomenal 2-day event. This weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we did the 2-day intensive for the Fearless Speaking Academy. And the breakthroughs, the ideas, the vision, the clarity that people were getting was just truly amazing. And I had this idea because so many people at the 2-day event and in general asked me about, Jermaine, I know you've read a lot of books. What are the best books? What are the key lessons? What really changed your life? And I thought it would be just cool if I just did some Facebook Lives where I turned around, grabbed a book, we found an action point, we found a random page, a random point. I say the point out loud that the author makes. Will, Nish, what's going on, guys? And, you know, I really wanted to see if we could take the advice from the book, and hopefully I've actually acted on the book that I pick up, and I can share with you how it improved my life, and you can share with me what the tip means to you. So let's start here. Hey Shamila, how are you, beautiful? Okay, so we're going to take a random page from The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. I remember this book. It's a phenomenal book. So let's get started here. Okay, so I've actually highlighted this here. I've highlighted the mind is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. Now, I've highlighted that because for me, I guess at the time what that meant was, how can I use my mind as opposed to my mind using me? I mean, we've got this amazingly powerful tool, right? It's got so much power. I mean, I know there's all sorts of quotes and stats out there about it being more powerful than, you know, the computer in the space shuttle and that type of thing. Hey Sarah, how are you, lovely? About how powerful the mind is and stuff. But for me, I like to use it as a tool, as Robin Sharma says here in The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Otherwise, the mind does become a terrible master because, you know, it can pull us in a reactive way rather than us using it to take us forward. So that's a great example of just a random page from a random book of what you can actually do rather than just an idea. So for me, when it comes to making my mind a servant as opposed to a master, it came down to the daily routine. How would I focus my mind on what I wanted it to be focused on? Does this make sense? So if I wanted speaking opportunities, I would focus my mind every morning and evening by visualizing myself on the stage, at the event, running the team building event. Hi Vanessa. And, you know, the more and more you do this, your mind starts to serve you. So that's really what that tip did for me. So let's take another random page from The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari here. Okay, here we go. It says, share your wisdom with those who need to hear it. I mean, Kende, how are you, trouble? It says, share this wisdom with all those who need to hear it. I mean, that's my passion. That's what I'm doing now. And what I've found is, as with the weekend just gone, the 2-day intensive for the Fearless Speaking Academy, when you share the wisdom, when you share the ideas, you reinforce it within yourself and you actually become better. So I was running public speaker training for 2 days, and after those 2 days, I felt myself becoming a better speaker. Does that make sense? Hey, Vanessa, it's great that you've got a book list, right? Most people haven't got a list, so you're ahead of the game. Move through that list, read the books, take the action steps. Thank you, Angela. Yeah, you're trouble seeker, and there you're living into it. So let's pick another random page here. Here we go. Let's pick another random page. Something I've highlighted would be the easiest, right? Okay, here we go. Okay, so this is where Robin is talking about, or the fictional character, because it's a personal development novel, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. It's where the main character in the book is talking about the power of physical activity and how physical care is so important, and to have a ritual of physical care. And I know we hear about, there are so many different ways, right, to care for yourself physically. Of course there are. You know, there's so many different books on nutrition, so many exercise regimes. So what I've done over the last 4 years is experiment. I've had blood work done, allergy tests, VO2 maxes to test the lungs. And for me, it's that perpetual journey of refining your physical care, because, you know, yes, I want to grow a business. Yes, I want to reach a lot of people. Yes, I want to have amazing energy for my family, and I've got all these other goals, but without the ritual for physical care, as the monk talks about in The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, then everything else, you haven't really got the ability to go and do it. So if you're on your sick bed or you're struggling for your health, the rest of your goals become impossible to achieve. That makes sense? So again, let me talk to you about an action step in that case. So the action step for me was, it can often just be a Google search. So let's say, Kende, you look amazing as well, lovely. So for me, oftentimes you start with a Google search. I find a Google search a great way to prime your mind to take action on your goal. So if I'm reading about the ritual of physicality and physical care, what I'll do is, so for me, I was asthmatic at the time. So it would be a Google search for people who had cured themselves of asthma, and forums and people to contact on how they did it. Does that make sense? Sometimes you may not be in a position to go straight in to an exercise program or a nutrition program. Hey Debbie, how are you, lovely? You know, you may not be able to dive straight into the new nutrition program or exercise program, but we live in a society where, you know, we live in a world where we can just Google. The first step towards a goal can be a Google search. You can find a nutrition program that suits 20 to 30-year-old males with Afro-Caribbean heritage, for example. And you can really get some momentum on what's right for you. And I was talking with one of the delegates actually about experimentation in this area. Because oftentimes nutrition plan A that works so well for your best friend may not work perfectly well for you. So I view that ritual of physical care as described here, I view that as a constant reminder to experiment and always looking for that next level of energy. Okay, let's have another look here through The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Again, something I've highlighted would be good. Okay, let's see what we got here. We have, goal setting will make your life magnificent. Your world will become richer, more delightful, and more magical. That's a beautiful way of phrasing it, because sometimes the whole goal setting thing can become quite heavy, right? But there is true magic in goal setting, and when you achieve it, when you realize you're walking in the goal that you set, that's where the magic is. Shmaila, wonderful. I'm glad that I'm able to serve you in that way, and you needed to hear it. So, you know, goal setting is a process, yes, and we hear so many different ways. For me, I use a method called 4-wheel drive goal setting that I come up with myself. The 4 wheels, like 4 wheels on a Range Rover or a Land Rover Discovery, because life's terrain can be difficult sometimes, right? So we take the Amazon rainforest. You'd rather be driving through the Amazon rainforest in a Land Rover Discovery than perhaps a Mini Cooper, because it's built for it. So I believe that your goals can have 4 W's to get you through the potentially tough terrain of life. Number 1 is, what do you want specifically? What do you want specifically? So if I could say I want more money, and, you know, someone could give me 10 pence and it would be goal achieved, right? What if I wanted an annual income of £114,500 per year? That specificity lasers in my mind on what I actually want. So let's say I was going on holiday to the south of France, and I set my sat nav, my GPS. If I just typed in France, I wouldn't get there. I'd have to type in the postcode and the address of the actual hotel, and then the sat nav would get me there. And what's great about that, about the mind and the sat nav, is if a road is closed, if a particular pathway that you thought was to your success, to your financial freedom is closed, a sat nav doesn't just switch off and take you back home, it readjusts. This makes sense? Your mind can do the same. And believe you me, I thought that I was going to be where I am now 3 years ago. I thought I could do it all in 1 year. But my sat nav had to readjust. The second W of 4-wheel drive goal setting, I call it the most powerful W, is why? Why do you want it? So when I first started out, I read The Secret. I don't think it's here anymore. I think I've loaned a couple of copies out, and I was like, yeah, okay, financial freedom, Ferrari F430. That's what it was for me, Ferrari F430. But that reason why wasn't creating much juice in me to go and create businesses and go out there and grow my finances. Now, many of you know, my son's got cystic fibrosis. Now, there's a real possibility lots of people are working hard on a cure for cystic fibrosis. But there's a real possibility that when they find it, it'll be too expensive for the NHS here in the UK. So we'll have to buy it. So my financial motivator now is that phone call. They say, Mr. Harris, they found a cure for cystic fibrosis. The challenge is £750,000. My reason why, my motivator is to be able to pick up my checkbook, write that check, and pay for the cure for cystic fibrosis. Can you see how that creates more motivation, more juice, more reason to actually go and get the goal? Does that make sense? Thank you, Nisha. Thank you. And that creates the fire for you to make the next step, take the next step when that reason why is powerful. Third W of four-wheel drive goal setting is when. When do you want it by? Let's go back to the south of France analogy. If I'm traveling to the south of France, I'll just say, I'm going to the south of France this year. How do I know when to pack? How do I know when to leave? I know I'm going to the south of France on July the 27th, 2017. And I know then I have to pack that week and leave that morning. Your goals are the same. So let's say you have a, thank you, Brother Lee. Let's say you have a body goal, and you've got a great nutrition plan that you're following and you're seeing results. And you know that you're going to be down to 14% body fat. And you know you're going to be down to 14% body fat by August the 1st, 2017. If on July the 15th, something happens, an emotional event, you lose track a little bit, and you have a McDonald's or a Domino's pizza, something that doesn't fit in to your nutrition plan, because you know that you're going to be down to 14% body fat by the 1st of August 2017, you can readjust. And even on a subconscious level, you'll exercise that little bit harder, you'll eat that little bit better. And finally, the final W of four-wheel drive goal setting is what must you do? Now, this is what I call the Lucis wheel, because you're not going to know everything that you have to do to get to the goal. But what can you do now? Ask yourself that question. What can I do now to make progress towards my goal? Does this make sense? So as I said, sometimes a Google search is a wonderful way. The nutrition plan, the personal trainer in Cardiff or near you. It can just be a Google search. And it's when, as Robin says in here, that's when your world can become more delightful and more magical just through goal setting. So let's take one more from the monk who sold his Ferrari here. I'm having fun with this. Okay, here we go. Saying that you do not have time to improve yourself, whether this means improving your mind or nourishing your spirit, is much like saying you do not have time to stop for petrol because you are too busy driving. Wow. Sometimes we come across all these practices, exercise, nutrition, mindset techniques, and we think, oh God, that's going to take a lot of time. But that is just the way that is put in the monk who sold his Ferrari. It is exactly like driving your car and saying you haven't got time to stop for petrol. Just makes perfect sense. So over the last few months, I'm recently getting into meditation. And it was one of those things I'd read, the 10 habits of the world's most successful people. And I would always do 9 out of 10. I would always be practicing 9 out of 10. But meditation for me was the one that I always said, I haven't got time to fit that in yet. Now I view it as putting petrol in my car, my life's journey. That pause, that Headspace. Headspace is a great app to get started for you guys if you're thinking about getting into meditation and you're in the early days. And I take that 10 minutes now every single day because it's my personal petrol. Nisha, I'm finding that it is so powerful. I mean, it gives me just beautiful, it allows me to watch my thoughts as opposed to identifying them and holding on to them. That makes sense? There's always time to meditate. I'm finding that in there, for sure. So that was just a couple of lessons from the monk who sold his Ferrari. And as I'm always telling people that that are asking me about books and should they read more, how can they read more, the answer is yes. But just throughout this live video, I've wanted to share with you some action steps as well, because that's where the power is. You know, reading the 400 books or whatever it is now hasn't changed everything for me. Acting on the information of these great leaders, that is what changed everything for me. So whether you're watching this live, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure for your interaction. Yeah, Headspace is great, okay, and it is great. Thank you so much for watching live. Thank you for your interaction. If you're watching the replay of this video, then thank you for watching as well. And I hope you pick up on the action steps and not just the words, because as I said, that's where the power is. You're welcome, Giselle. That is where the power is, the action steps. And if you'd like more action steps, more book reviews, more of any of this information that you can take action on, then keep an eye out for my live videos. You're welcome, Sarah, of course. Thank you for watching. Keep an eye out for these live videos, because I'm going to be bringing lessons, picking lessons out of the library. And if you go to jermaine-harris.com as well, I'll put the link in the comments once this video is finished, and you subscribe to my email list, then I've got 100 emails of book reviews and ideas already going out. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon, either this evening or tomorrow, with another lesson and action step from the library. Thank you guys. Take care.